Good afternoon, fans. That was a fun win. That was a light afternoon, so that was enjoyable. I am at a family event, guys. So if my mic sounds weird or anything like that, you guys let me know. It's not my usual setup. So if anything doesn't sound right, holler at me. I am here with the one and only Paul Waddington and Drew Kelson. How you guys feeling, man? Another relaxing afternoon we got. It's been nice this season.
That's the way you want a game like that to look. I mean, Florida had, they had enough on defense to make us work a bit, but we came out clicking on all cylinders. And even though we didn't finish that first drive, I think we kind of knew we would be in control. So defense did what was expected too. So I really can't complain. That's the game went the way I wanted it to look and the way I expected it to look. So good win. We got some good football to watch the rest of the day.
Yeah. Paul?
100%. That's what you want it to look like. Florida's down. I mean, they're going to have a tough end of the season because of injuries. Not just missing, obviously, DJ Lagway. They're missing Elijah Badger, their best deep threat. They're missing one of their best run blocking O-line, Damian George.
He's a North Shore kid, isn't he?
Yeah, I think so.
Yep.
And then they were down at corner, so they basically just had to play off coverage. And then they ran a few blitzes. They got us on that first drive, and as Drew said, and after that, it was over. I mean, we put in our backups pretty early in the second half, and just cruised. And I'm glad we let Arch throw it around a little bit and get some more experience. But Quinn Ewers, that's what we needed to see from Quinn.
I agree. So Quinn is here to stay. Let me pull up his stat line. I am on a one-screen laptop, so I'm a little bit sketchy here. I'm pulling things up. But let me try to get these stats up for us, fellas. Okay.
Oh, you hear me okay? I don't even have my microphone. I didn't grab it.
Nope.
You sound good to me. Chat, let us know if Paul sounds good.
All right.
Sound good to me. Let's see if you guys can see. I can't really look at you guys and control it, but let's try to find Quinn's stat line here. Quinn Ewers, 333 yards, 5 touchdowns, 70% completion rating, 235 passer rating. I'll take it. And
5 touchdowns in 1/2. I'll take that.
Yeah, and that's also, I mean, he threw 2 touchdowns to Moore too.
Yeah, Moore didn't have his best game.
Yeah. Did you see Jonte tweet?
No.
He was good about it. He just said, keep your head up.
Yeah.
Jonte was totally cool about it. But yeah, that was a little bit tricky.
This chat and this conversation was going to take a bad turn, but that's good.
No. I mean, hey, keep your head up.
Yeah. That is
down
true.
goes Miami. Miami went down.
Yep.
Miami's done. All right. Well, Texas will be at least number 4 at the conclusion of this day.
That'll be cool. Moore really dropped the ball today. Yep. He said like it's a metaphor, but yeah, quite literal.
Oh man.
Let's see what else we got here. Anything else that stuck out offensively? We'll go to defense so we can keep it a little bit structured here. But
I mean, we were dominant throwing the ball. There was no need to run. I mean, when you could throw the ball like that, don't hand it off. Just keep cooking.
Paul, say that again, because people aren't used to hearing that. People are used to hearing the opposite of what you just said.
You have to establish the run, Drew. No, but if you're
so dominant throwing the ball.
Yeah, if you're successful throwing the ball, that's how you get 35 points on the scoreboard at halftime. So keep doing it. But when we did want to run the ball in the second half, we ran the ball. Jared Gibson, played a quarter and a half and ran for 100 yards on 16 carries. Jaden Blue, that's the dude. That's what we've been looking for. He shook some people. He was running decisively, both as a pass receiver and as a runner. I thought he made a catch on that amazing catch and throw on the third down, but
on the sideline.
My understanding of the rules of what would pass in backyard football when I was 12 do not pass to modern football, apparently. So
no. All right.
Yeah, the fumble at the end was a bummer. You can see that, like, man, I said on the group chat, I was like, well, Jared Gibson's going back in the box for 4 weeks now. 4 weeks of punishment now.
Well, I also went back and looked at the end around to Isaiah Bond, and that was just like unnecessary amounts of smoke and mirrors and deception piled on deception. So fake, so counter gaps, fake end around.
Yep.
And then no, fake reverse. fake
Yeah.
end around the other way.
Yep.
Same way.
You
Yeah.
know what's crazy about that play is there's so much you can still do off of that.
Yeah.
Quinn can still hold on to the ball, fake the last reverse, and take a step back and launch it to somebody you don't expect down the field. Like there's still a lot you can do off of that play.
I want to hear the John Gruden play call of that. It'd be like 14 lines.
Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know why Wisner's rushing stats are 4 attempts for 0 yards.
We'll get a negative 7-yard run.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what happens when you run backwards.
Yeah.
But we know who we are. I mean, we get them the ball in space. I mean, both Jaden Blue and Wisner. I mean, we get those guys the ball in space, and they do enough for us. So it didn't work against Georgia, but it is core to our offense, and when it does work, it works well. So
You want to hear a wild stat?
What?
We threw for 352. No receiver had more than 3 receptions, and no single receiver had more than 67 yards. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 different guys caught a pass, and 8 different receivers had at least 22 yards receiving, double-digit yards receiving.
Yeah.
Spread it around.
spread it around.
That's how we were looking earlier in the year.
Yeah.
And then we got
Yeah.
a little bit too tight.
Everybody's eating. I mean, because you can't. First of all, this was what was disappointing for me today with really DeAndre Moore. And mind you, he's a baller. Like, don't
Yeah.
sweat this. This is nothing to really worry about. But one thing I appreciated about Isaiah Bond being out is that DeAndre Moore showed he could be that guy who can make the big plays, who can make the explosive plays. Because then, I mean, you have to key on him too. You can't just assume Bond's going to be that guy. And so when the game started, I was like, oh, wow, we're going to Moore. Like, this is going to be Moore's day in spite of Bond being back on the field. And he made some, I mean, he obviously had the plays, the 2 catches he made earlier, but he also missed some plays. It was just like, you could have had your own kind of coming out party while amongst all the greatness that was going on around you.
Yeah.
But that was really the blemish on him today. But I'd like to see him bounce back from that soon. Because, when he's clicking, when Bond is clicking, and the way we get our backs to the ball, it does make a difference. And that was probably the letdown of the day for me, if there was one.
Yeah. Golden's becoming my favorite red zone, end zone threat.
Yeah. Yeah. So on the other side of the coin, I think I texted this in the group too. Golden does what receivers are supposed to do. He catches the ball. He catches the hard. He catches. It doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to worry about getting mad at Quinn because he doesn't throw a perfect ball when the receiver just knows, hey, it's my job to catch the ball. So that's one thing I do appreciate about just him catching an underthrown ball in the end zone today. He could have easily dropped that, and we would have been mad at Quinn and not at him. But Golden made the play we needed him to make. So.
Yeah, to be able to contort and change sides he was going to catch on and catch that touchdown was important because, it wasn't a great ball. But to your point, I think we do sometimes expect quarterbacks to hit him in the chest every single time when really we want you to have catching range, and that makes a difference. If that holding call would have been upheld on Blue, then let the bottles hit the flow. That was funny. Everyone in the group chat, anytime there's a sketchy call now, it immediately goes to our water bottle foaming. That was my really good impression of a 4-year-old with a speech impediment there. Sark pulled out Coach Klein's play from Waterboy. He was drawing up for Bobby on the whiteboard. Yeah, a bunch of coaches on Twitter immediately clipped that.
You ever wonder, what do refs think when they're seeing all that go down?
I don't know. What are their keys at that point?
I mean,
what do you as a linebacker do, Drew? Are you just watching a guard? Is that your key? But if you have eyes in the backfield, are you just like what are you even doing?
So the offensive line did not. I mean, usually they give you a good run pass read. The offensive line is always going to give you a good run pass read. So the backers on that, I didn't see them kind of get lost in the mix because they didn't come downhill hard. It's just you get frozen, and that's all you need. I mean, when you're giving Isaiah Bond the football, he needs a step. And we have that many steps and that many blockers, and then a guy who just can make guys miss. Yeah, that's tough to play regardless. So
Yeah,
I just wonder.
they pulled on counter too. So the linebackers, it's just funny, man. To like Paul said, probably an unnecessary amount of misdirection because you did it like 1, 2, 3, 4 ways. By that point, you've kind of canceled everyone out and left them where they originally were. So it's like the two switches would be good. What do you guys think of seeing Sadir? That was positive.
Listen, I just like to hear. I mean, everybody's been asking about him for weeks, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so Sark's just said he's been working. It's about consistency. So now that he played, got to play, people are excited to see him. Well, it does come down to consistency. It does come down to development. I think we forget we brought in multiple receivers, multiple D linemen this offseason to help build depth and create a competitive room. Sadir had to fight through that. So, I like bringing upperclassmen so young guys can see how it looks to work. He didn't just see it from T'Vondre Sweat and the team last year. I mean, he's getting to see it now from a new batch of guys on what it looks like to show up, work, and be an adult. And just bring it every week. So hopefully he continues to grow from that.
I'm just glad he's on the team because I was worried he was probably headed back home with whatever that little tiff was earlier. So the fact that he's just been able to stay and, young guys do dumb stuff, and so I'm glad that Sark was able to get him back in the fold and right on the right path.
If he wants to be an NFL player, he will be. And I hope that's at Texas.
Yeah.
That's it. The choice is his.
Yeah. Sark was in his bag today. He was dialing it up, couldn't miss. What did you think of Sark schematically? It felt like he got tired of hearing me and my cohorts about the Vandy game plan. It felt a little bit less restrained than it was versus Vanderbilt. What did you guys think?
I wouldn't even say just restrained. I just thought that he had amazing stuff dialed up. And like early in the game, so I'd actually put up a post in Inside Texas last week about Florida's safeties. Still, they've gotten better when they simplified, but they still blow alignments and they still blow coverages. And I highlighted this one combo wheel route that Tennessee ran that they got them. We ran the same play, and we got them. That was Golden's first touchdown, maybe his second. I don't know. But there were so many. But yeah, I mean, so it's stuff like that, and then you've got the end around, fake reverse, counter gaps. All that other stuff, and then. I just thought multiple times it was clear he dialed something up to attack a certain coverage or a certain guy because he knew Florida's corners are vulnerable and that makes them predictable. So you could start dialing up stuff that you're going to get a certain coverage. And when that happens with Sark, it's deadly. So,
yeah, and more attacking downfield too.
Well, that's where I think I appreciate about Sark and I appreciate about we want to run the ball. We want to run the ball well. But if Sark sees certain things on film, and let's say it's 60%, or 18 out of the first 25 plays have to be passed because he knows he's going to set something up or reverse or something. He knows what he's setting up. So a lot of what we're seeing at the beginning of the game, it's him having a script that attacks something. I think sometimes when I'm watching the game, I'm right in the midst with several other unreasonable fans thinking, man, why aren't we running the ball? Why don't we try to run? Why isn't this a part of our game plan? Well, even though we trust Sark's script, we have to respect or understand that a part of that script is knowing there's going to be opportunities in the pass game, and he's going to identify those opportunities early, take advantage of them early, and to create explosive plays and get on the board as fast as possible. We could have easily been up 14-0 sooner than we were up 14-0. But that's the difference, and especially in a big game, especially in a game where, let's say, DJ Lagway is playing, and it's going to be 4 quarters of you having to play, that defense would have still been the same defense out there. You want to get up 14-0, 21-0 against DJ Lagway if you can. At a minimum, you want to score 21 points as soon as you can. So the importance of that script, the importance of the passing game, and how Sark just a lot of times he's going to find those opportunities in the passing game, in the screen game, and in the misdirection game before he ever finds it in the run game. When it comes to that initial script, it's all a part of the design. It's all a part of him being able to create some explosive plays early and get them on their heels. So I have to remind myself of that when I'm wanting to see Jarrett Gibson and on the first drive tote the rock 3 times straight for 20 yards.
What do you guys think of Quinn's pocket presence, the zip on his throws, kind of the actual mechanical nature of it? I thought he looked better today. I thought he looked more confident today.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that was bred by protection and open receivers, or I mean, he certainly looked confident. He only had one bad missed throw, right? Bond early in the game on that.
Yeah, that comeback
where McClellan fell down and Bond could have just caught it and ran for a touchdown. They just weren't on the same page. I'm not sure that was a bad throw. I think they weren't aligning on what Bond was trying to do there, and I'm not sure that can be blamed on him. But other than that, it was good. I mean, he had a nice deep ball to Moore that should have been caught, and then he had a later deep ball that up the seam that he overthrew it. So, but all in all, he looked good. I mean, a couple of those swing passes, I would just say appreciate that. Yes, absolutely, guys were doing stuff with the ball after the catch, but on that one to Blue,
yeah,
I mean, he led him perfectly, and I thought it might be a pick six.
So did I. Yeah,
but he knew exactly where he was throwing it. He hit his upfield shoulder. I mean, he hit his hands in his upfield shoulder, and the guy is out there on like the wide hash. That's not an easy throw, and he's just nailing it. So Blue's not even breaking stride, and then Blue shakes 2 guys. But it's easier to shake 2 guys when the ball's just like perfectly placed. You don't have to reach back. You don't have to it's not too low. It's not too high. Like he was doing stuff like that over and over. And that's a really undervalued part of his game. But I'm also glad he added some throws down the field. So I thought we were much more aggressive. And he looks comfortable. After that initial drive sack on the extra man fold around pass rush, the little stunt, I thought the O-line was really good. Yeah, I mean, I thought they had good pass protection.
Yeah, I thought. I mean, Quinn knew where to go with the ball. I mean, that's when we know we're going to see good Quinn, when he knows where to go with the ball. When he doesn't know where to go, we see happy feet. We see him get out. We see him indecisive on if he wants to escape the pocket, if he wants to step up in the pocket. So as long as Quinn knows where to go with the ball, and that comes with protection and having an internal clock too, but.
And also, I think it comes with Sark, right? I think when Sark really cooks up stuff for him like that, that's when you see kind of everything looking really smooth like we did, and Quinn looking confident. I think all the pieces are kind of married pretty well there.
Yeah, and I think Florida was pretty restricted to the same 2 or 3 coverages over and over. Because you can't run a bunch of stuff with 2 new corners out there and safeties who kind of habitually so I wanted to say line stepper from the Dave Chappelle, but they habitually bust coverages. So
cool. All right, before we keep going, let's hear a word from David McClellan.
I'm just going to say, guys, you probably need a fiduciary financial advisor, and I've got the guy for you. His name is David McClellan with Forum Financial. He works broadly and deeply with his clients as a financial life coach, and he should know something about coaching because he won several national championships as a swimmer for the University of Texas. He specializes in financial planning and has contributed numerous articles to Kiplinger on the topic of retirement tax bombs. So contact David today to be your fiduciary financial planner and schedule a 1-hour consultation to assess your financial situations. The free consultation is available, so just give him a call. The number is 312-933-8823. That's 312-933-8823. His email is also in the description below.
All right, let's talk defensively. Let's see what that ended up looking like. How do you guys feel about giving up 17? Do you think that's just we started not playing starters, or how do you feel about that?
I don't care. I don't care at all. It could have been 23. It could have been 7. I don't care. Yeah, it doesn't really matter in a game like this. It's funny because I was tweeting back and forth with a few fans who were not happy with the first drive of the second half. And Florida coming out and driving it and kind of putting a good drive together. I get that, but you just want to win, man. Like, I do trust this team when there's competition, when there's really a game at hand, for them to do what's necessary to make the plays, both situationally and just on your standard downs. It's really tough in a game where you have it handled in the first half that way to just be as sharp, just for the second half of an entire game. So based on a game where there is a blowout in the first half, I don't mind the way we showed up in the second half. It is what it is. We were playing a lot of guys, and Florida was still fighting. Credit to them.
Yeah, they do that. Paul, what do you think?
0 on the scoreboard at halftime. They were 1 of 7 on third down, Florida. They had 138 yards at half, right? At about 4 yards a pop. They had one pass play, right? They connected on that one. Looked like a blown coverage.
Yeah, that over.
Yep.
And that was it. I mean, there was nothing. And we forced 3 turnovers for the game. So that's a huge thing as well. I mean, that's game context. It's trying to play guys. I mean, we had Roberson and Kobe Black out there early. Right? We're just trying to get reps for dudes after a certain point. So, and Florida didn't quit. And I like Florida's backs, by the way.
Man,
I would go grab that freshman.
Dude, every week I'm trying to scout it back, dude. Every week I'm like, that looks like a good back, dude.
I mean, he carries 235 very well.
I want Florida. Florida can bring back Billy Napier, but we want a couple of those backs.
Yeah, I like those guys. They ran hard.
And that wasn't even their starter. Their starter was out.
No.
Yeah, I like Ball a lot. He's got good contact balance. He's strong, and he's
patient. He's patient.
Yeah, he's more elusive than he looks. He's not just a power back. But, yeah, I thought the defense played really well. Hey, here's where – pull up the box score, if you don't mind, of the Texas stats.
Let me see.
On defense.
This one?
Yeah. So this, if you scan the box score, it is going to lie to you on defense about Alfred Collins. Alfred Collins is credited with 2 tackles. He had 2 tip balls that led to interceptions. He created 2 interceptions, right?
Yeah.
He didn't mildly touch it with his index finger. I mean, the ball's trajectory went straight up in the air, and then the DB just goes, "Oh, a gift," right?
Yeah.
Nothing better in the world than that if you're playing safety, Drew, right? And then on a key third down, and I had just written a profile on Alfred Collins on Inside Texas during the bye about the impact he's been having on third and short. So early in the first half, Florida gets down in our territory on a drive. It's third and short. They hand the ball off. They double team Alfred Collins. He beats the double team, tackles the dude for no gain. Had Florida even gotten a yard or 2 to get it closer to fourth down, they would have gone for it. Instead, they brought out their field goal kicker. He missed it. You get that early momentum. So Alfred Collins had 3 literally possession-changing plays. But when you look at the box score, it's going to say 2 tackles. And that box, ball don't lie, box score lie. Alfred Collins was phenomenal, dominant. That was awesome. He had a huge impact on this game.
I don't know if they even credited Trey Moore with his sack. They didn't even give it to him.
No, because you know what? I think he got because they said
it wasn't.
They tackled him. They got him a TFL for -1 on that.
Yeah, because he turned into a runner.
Or what? Brought the ball down and was a runner, which is cheap.
Oh, I bet Trey is furious. It's week 9 and he doesn't have a sack, right?
I feel bad for that guy because he played really well.
He did.
He had 2 TFLs on an early drive. And then that one play, did you catch that, Drew, where he felt the tight end releasing on him?
Yep, he released. And
so he's like, okay, I'm not going to get caught in no man's land. I'm still going to pass rush, but I'm going to get back there.
But that's who he's been too. He's been a present and aware and mindful player.
Yeah, he's smart.
he's a smart player. I mean, it doesn't show up on the stat sheet. It sucks, but yeah, he played a great game. He really was present throughout the first half and the first few drives in a way that I think helped set the tone for everybody else.
Oh, and he had the fumble recovery.
Yep.
From the Ant Hill forced fumble.
You know, there's a topic. I know we're on defense, but there's a topic. I'm just going to put it out there, but we need to table this for this week. It's the offensive line early. I'm not going to say any positions in particular, but just something that I think we're going to have to go back and just look at where there were some misses, because not in any other way than just what are we not doing that we could be doing on these plays, on these run plays and the pass protection. These are, I mean, but this is where we are as a team too, Paul. I mean, like this is what we talked about. Now we're like, what's the next level for us? Yes, we're winning this game. Yes, we won 49-17. We're not, complaining about anything, but what are we not doing fundamentally or routinely that just are killing some of our drives? That first drive, Quinn was doing what he needed to do, and
the counterplay got
one play gets blown up, and then boom.
DJ had consecutive bad snaps.
DJ had consecutive bad snaps.
Run blocking and as a pass blocker.
Yeah.
So.
And DJ, he's been our weak link on the offensive line all season. It's been kind of tough. I know other opponents that have scouted us, they've repeatedly told me that they're looking at right guard. So I just hope when he comes back next year that he's still a third-year player. We put him in with the Kelvin Banks, it was a 5-star thing, but he still has some development to go for sure.
Yeah. And I thought about that just in the context of things that don't show up on the stat sheet. We were talking about the defense, and I was like, oh, I know something that didn't show up on the stat sheet. We need to go back and look at our O-line and just see where we're missing some things here and there. But for the most part, I feel like from a pass protection standpoint, we were fine. I know he got beat on an inside move, just routine, and maybe Quinn stepped into it. But, yeah, it's things like that you just want to clean up.
Cole Hudson played well. That was my first look impression. I'm sure I'll rewatch and get a different perspective.
I hate talking about offensive line right after the game because you go back and watch and you feel like a jerk about it.
And also, like, you can give up one bad play as an offensive lineman and the spotlight's on you, and the rest of the game you're like dominant, but no one notices you, and they're like, "Oh, Jared Gibson refuses to go down." It's like, well, yeah, there's also a guy on his back. With Hayden Connor on top of him. So, yeah, I always have to go back and rewatch it.
I'm a bit late in just catching up, but the deep ball, TD Golden, was a perfect pass. Why'd y'all call that underthrown? That was a perfect back shoulder throw. It was underthrown. Golden had to catch it almost.
Wasn't in stride.
Yeah, he caught it. He had to turn around. I'm going to see back shoulder, but also there's no one in front of Golden on that. There's no net. You don't even have to throw back shoulder in that situation.
Yeah, it wasn't a Graham Harrell back shoulder throw to Michael Crabtree, which was on purpose.
Stop.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I'm so sorry.
I wasn't on that team. But that was probably the last. I have friends who went to Texas Tech. That was probably the last game where I talked mad trash to somebody about a game. Because after the Crabtree catch, I didn't hear the end of it. Like, I can still hear Crabtree.
I remember watching that game live. I remember everything where I was. I remember the couch. Like, I was at a friend's house. I remember it all.
I was at a guy's house in Palo Alto in his man cave watching it with another Texas fan, and he was neutral. He was like a Cal grad. And I don't know if you recall, but the Blake Gideon dropped interception.
Yes.
The announcer initially says, "It's intercepted." And we both jumped up, screamed, and ran out of the room, and we're like running laps around the house. And he's like, come back. He dropped it. And we were both like, "Shut up. F you. You're an idiot." And then we walked back in, and we're like, "Oh no."
Yeah. So Horns fan 722 in the comments here. It's so funny because I noticed this live, And Horns fan 722 is a self-proclaimed perfectionist, and I appreciate it because every little detail that we're not doing right, I see it on Twitter from him. So the underthrown pass to Quinn, to Matthew Golden that he adjusted and and made the catch. This is a detail that, of course, I noticed, and obviously Horns fan did too. Quinn did not step into that throw either.
He faded away.
Yeah, he faded away. So
it was all arm, but it was like crossbody. It was not sound mechanics, but still impressive. Like that he was able to do that.
Yeah,
that's been yours.
That
he does
you're
that
right.
all the time.
Yeah,
it is
Quinn.
That is his signature thing. It's like he makes so while underthrown or not thrown perfectly, he was off his back foot. So you're right, Horns fan 722. Like if we ever want to see just a nice, like a documented play-by-play who didn't do their job and completely right about it, but I'm like, dude, enjoy the game. Horns fan 722 is always going to let us know what we didn't do on any given play. So,
I love it.
It's what you don't do that gets you beat.
No, hey, that was really the theme today. It's like when we play against the teams we need to beat, we can't do this.
Yeah.
So you're right.
Be able to project. But I thought Quinn looked a lot better. I thought Sark called a better game for him. I thought there was better protection. Things were just flowing better, and of course, the outlook looks a lot better. Still have to see going forward.
Win another game. You think they can beat Florida State at the end?
Aiden Ward is weird, man. He there's like 2 or 3 throws a game where I'm like, that kid's got a real arm, but he's just so inconsistent. It's like, how consistent can you make him, or how quick can DJ come back?
Yeah.
I feel like they can get him back for a couple of games.
Yeah.
And I think that will transform the team if they have Badger, because they can run the ball. And if they can combine that with the deep ball, that's kind of terrifying because it puts the Drew Kelsons of the world in conflict, right?
Yeah.
Listen,
you got to support the run. It's a 230-pound running back, but a guy might run by you and catch a 70-yarder, right?
Listen, you don't want to see Sellers. You don't want to see Lagway. You don't want to see Marcel Reed. There's certain guys you just don't want to have to deal with you can prepare for it, but then there's a certain level of just.
It turns into a track meet. Their speed is speed at some point.
You don't want to see. I mean, goodness, Bama's like the SEC right now has some athletic quarterbacks that, depending on the week, if they're healthy and if you game plan for it and have enough time, they're still going to give you hell. So
I feel like we started
I almost feel like Lagway's I almost feel like he's the Ben Roethlisberger, Cam Newton, NFL Cam Newton,
right
version of quarterback. I mean, he's athletic. He can run. I don't think you can tackle him.
No.
Like, I think if he's in the pocket and you do like a little flyby and you grab his jersey, he just shakes it off and throws the ball. I mean, you saw Arch shake that. I was going to
say, we saw Arch do that today. That made me happy.
It's funny. You see Arch without context and you think he's like a normal looking frat kid.
Yeah.
Nope.
And you see him and then you're like, oh, he's a big, athletic, strong dude.
Yeah. I've told people Arch is more like Cam Newton than you would just even fathom, but you just can't see it. You just can't see it. It's till you see him in person. You're like, this dude is built stout. Like he's stout, man. He's a good looking kid.
Yeah, he's whenever he was able to throw that defender off and just whatever and complete the pass, I'm like, that's what we need, the ability to run to the sideline, extend. Next year, that'll be nice. And then Arch still doing Arch things, throwing into triple coverage on that deep ball. It should have been PI. But Arch don't care, man. It doesn't matter if it's triple coverage if your receiver's behind him.
If you throw a good ball,
if your receiver's got him beat, who cares? It can be all 11 could be there as long as Bond's behind him. Throw the ball.
Give me a 35-0 lead. Why not?
Yeah.
Connor, he's the future. He's going to light up some big numbers in the future.
Yeah.
But for your future, I'm talking to you folks watching this. You need to contact this number, 832-557-1095. I just want to clarify that that's a microphone in front of Connor. You need to call Gabe because he's really great at what he does. He's a Texas alum. He's over 20 years in the industry. Here's the deal, man. Interest rates, they're going down. You haven't seen it fully reflected yet in the market. It's about to happen. Here's what you do right now to get the optimal deal. Contact Gabe now, not when you think you're going to refi 3 months from now. Do it now. Get on the board, get all your paperwork, get all your stuff ready. And then when Gabe reads the optimal tea leaves to pull the trigger on your mortgage, which sometimes can literally be a window of an hour or two, depending on what the Fed does or how T-bills are selling, whatever else, this guy knows more than me. You need to have that all actionable and ready. He will call you, pull the trigger, and you will be delighted. So you will get a cheaper mortgage, cheaper payments. You could blow that money on Drew Kelson starter jerseys. All right. You could call him 832-557-1095. Drew, do you own a starter jersey of like another player?
No.
Neither do I.
No.
Connor, do you own a like a starter jersey, like a guy's jersey?
I actually don't own any jersey. I'm the lamest sports memorabilia. I don't own any sports memorabilia.
Once I heard a comedian say that if you see a man wearing your jersey, that player has the right to have sex with him if he wants to. When I heard that, I was like, well, I can't do that
anymore.
I can't do that.
And see, I've never. So yeah, I grew up and players' jerseys just cost too much. So my parents weren't going to buy me one. And then by the time I got old enough, I probably heard the same thing you heard. And I was like, I'm not wearing another man's name on my back.
That's it. Here's the thing. If there was an Andrew Kelson t-shirt and it was just like a little, like nicely written in cursive, I'd wear that. That'd be fine. I
think it's also different when you're Kelson and like you had your own UT jersey.
I literally have my own jersey.
Yeah, like it's probably a different feeling. You're like, if I want to put on a UT jersey, I'll put on my UT jersey.
Well, yeah,
sometimes Kelson just puts it on and he like wears it around. He's like, still got it.
Still got it, baby.
Oh man.
Is this true? Jackson Dart is out. Like, looks
serious. No, is this true?
And they say we have the luckiest schedule.
Because I'm on a little screen, I'm not able to see anything else. I'm in a quiet room away from the TV.
So this is what people say, like we have the luckiest schedule. So Georgia's played in the SEC East for forever, right?
Yeah.
And they basically had to win a game. They maybe play a pregame. I'll give them that, like a preseason. Whoops. And then they play a game at the end of the season. But like playing in the East was always whatever, you know.
Jackson Dart attempted one throw. It was an interception, and now he's out.
I want to see if Georgia's on fire like when they played us, man. They played such inspired football. And to watch them after that, I was like, it was like Texas when we'd play up to people, look like killers, and then the next week just go back to whatever we were doing.
That pissed me off that they came out and just were like disinterested in play and like, oh, we'll beat Florida, boring.
It was really the timing of the turnovers. The turnovers on our side of the field.
Yeah.
Like, good luck repeating that. And you know what? I'll say this. The Undertaker. Did you guys watch The Undertaker today? The Undertaker had a really strong take about the Georgia game it's like, you know what? That's some perspective. I'll take it. If you're going to lose a game to Georgia, you rather it be that game than in the SEC championship. You don't want to have to beat a Georgia team twice. I was like, damn.
It is hard to beat them twice.
And because Georgia played their best game this season, but they also got incredibly fortunate with the timing and the positions. I mean, the field position on the turnovers as well, because Carson Beck did not play well.
It was their defense won that game, man. They just came out on fire.
Yeah, I'm not afraid to see Georgia again, but we also got to keep cleaning things up and just getting better too. So.
I'm still just nervous because I don't know where we're at when teams really can blitz us like that with so many high draft picks. It's just like, man, because you can recreate that again. You're not going to recreate like the turnovers on our own 20 and stuff, but they can absolutely recreate Michael Williams and Walker blitzing, you know.
Well, in Florida started this game, they were all shiny, man. When the game started, the way they were dropping linemen and linebackers and the coverage, I mean, it was like, okay, like they look like a well-coordinated defense.
Yeah.
The most impressive play was when they had a defensive end on the opposite side of the field. I guess it was on the right side if I'm on defense, it's on the right side, the right defensive end. Quinn just stopped. Gunnar Helm was wide open, and they dropped the defensive end right into the window. And it was almost as if the defensive end knew it was coming. He dropped the pick, but that could have been another pick. And with our offense backed up, that could have positioned Florida. That could have made a difference in the game, not the result, but just in that particular drive and in the start of the game. And that was something I was like, man, I can't even blame Quinn. I did not. That was just a great call by the defensive coordinator, and and the defensive end just knowing to drop right in that window. I don't know if you know the play I'm talking about, Paul, but
Oh yeah,
that was one early where I was like, I mean, we're still vulnerable in that way, but that was also a great defensive play, and I mean, it could have been a different start.
I blame Quinn for it, and then I rewound it, and I went, oh.
It's almost like with some of these
I thought it was
simulated.
a linebacker.
Yeah, it was a linebacker. It was a linebacker.
But he was, as you said, he was on the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, he was on the line of scrimmage.
On the other side of the field.
Yeah.
So you know what cleared that up, Drew, when they stopped doing all that stuff, which is the Austin Armstrong special that gets them all confused and they bust coverages. The Gunnar Helm pop pass.
Yep.
They brought the middle linebacker. They vacated that space, and both of their safeties parted like Moses and the Red Sea. I mean, and then Jesse Palmer was like, "Great RPO," and I was like, "That's not a real RPO."
It was we were pass blocking.
Yeah,
it's like a pass blocking RPO.
I mean, that is a throw legitimately I could complete on a college football field, and Gunnar just jogged into the end zone, and then I think Florida kind of knocked it off after that play.
And if you watch Quinn against Michigan. And Michigan tried to blitz in so many different ways. When Quinn knows where to go with the ball,
yes,
it is not a game. Like, in that play right there was perfect for it. We're just outside the red zone. You can't do all this mirror addressing and all this other stuff, especially with Quinn. That was not the spot to do that. They should have just lined up, played it clean, and made us work for it. They tried to play games with it, and Quinn knew where to go with the ball. So yeah, Gunnar Helm was wide open, but. We can still be had on certain drops, but when Quinn knows where to go and when he can see all the moving parts, but you're right. They got out of it in that sense.
The simulated pressure stuff, man, it's just hard. It seems it's like hard on any quarterback because it's just our quarterback training has not caught up to the idea of simulated pressures yet.
But it has. I mean, honestly, Connor, if that were true, Todd Orlando would have succeeded here.
Right? Yeah, but we're seeing it across the board. Two high safeties with simulated pressures have brought quarterbacks throwing
that's the
down
alternative
across
part
the
of it.
board.
That's the interesting part. So a lot of simulated pressures they do from cover 0 or cover 1. Yeah. And then people realize like, hey, let's just leave two safeties back here in case the quarterback makes the right read. Instead of it being 70, we give up 21, right? Because a lot of defense, fans hate hearing stuff like this. Even old school defensive players hate hearing it. It's about like living for another day and just not giving up a one-play score.
Yeah.
That's like most of modern defense in college, in football.
Well, it's like, do I want you to have to be correct 14 times or once?
Yes.
It's simple. You're
going to take the cheapies away, then you have the foundation to play pretty good defense. And then if they're running back, like jukes two dudes and then powers over your safety, tip your hat. There's nothing.
I think the tricky part with simulated pressures is they're basically doing the opposite of what you think. And if they're doing the opposite of what you think as a quarterback, then it would be the opposite of what you think that they think.
Yeah.
You get it? So like if you know that they're pressuring you here because they want you to throw here, then as a quarterback, you should know they're probably going to drop the guy to your hot. So it's like but then in that situation, you would need a hot. You would need a guy that cancels out the simulated throw. So it's like, I don't think schematically that's been figured out yet consistently by coaches. But I think for a quarterback, you can know what's up. It's like, why is he trying? He's trying to get me to throw this. Why are they trying to get me to throw this? Because they're going to drop an end. They're going to drop a backer, whatever, into that window. But I don't think there's another option there either sometimes. But I can sympathize with some of the quarterback stressors on those creepers and sims we've been seeing everywhere.
It's tough though against Texas. Like as a linebacker, you can know where the hot route's coming from and everything else, but you don't want to overplay it. You don't want to you have to time it perfectly. And it's different if you're moving laterally. If your linebacker dropping back if you're dropping, like getting depth, that's much easier to kind of cut under a hot route than if you're going against the grain, meaning you're trying to drop at an angle and a player's coming. If you don't time it right, that player is going to either catch it before you or catch it right after you, and you're going the opposite direction. You don't want that to be a crossover. But when you just get in depth, those are the easiest hot routes to pick. It's just tough in some of these pressures. I think when there are pressures that allow the backers or whoever's dropping back to drop back and get depth vertically, that's where you could actually make an impact and steal it. But when you're just going against or going more laterally against where the route is going, it does get tougher. I don't know if that makes sense just describing it here, but
No, it makes sense. You guys are going different directions. Yeah.
yeah. And so it's just depending on the hot route and depending on, because sometimes it's hot, and when the receiver's going vertically, that just gives the quarterback, and Gunnar Helm did it today, and they've done it a few times where it's just you just fit it right in that window. It's type of chess I hate.
What do you think about
a chess match? I hate it.
What are you saying, Paul? Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Connor.
I was just saying, what do you see from modern defenses now that you think it's just like, man, that's smart or that's dumb, or whatever? But what do you think? Where do you think defense has gone? It seems like it's way trickier on the offensive side to be able to read anything. Seems like we've had to go to the full field progressions because it's really hard to trust your eyes right now.
Here's where the simulated pressure gets dumb. When I watch Michigan play defense, and they've got potentially 3 or 4 first rounders, and I see Mason Graham drop back into zone coverage from defensive tackle, and that guy is a giant savage.
That's just getting cute on the chalkboard.
It's too cute, man. Just let the guy pass rush. Let him drive the guard into the quarterback's face mask. Like, let's not get into all that. Like, I remember laughing one time because they kept talking about the athleticism of Julius Peppers. My son loves Julius Peppers. So he wears number 90. He's 11. We had to have an awkward conversation that I could relate maybe privately, involving that he wanted to paint his face black to be Julius Peppers. And as an innocent child, he was like, why can't I do that? And I was like, dude, I get you. Just like, just do.
We'll talk about it later.
But anyway, I remember watching an NFL game with the Panthers, and they were talking about his incredible athleticism, which he was, and they were talking about his drops and all that. And I don't remember who was doing color, and he was like, he's also pretty good at rushing a passer. You might want on 3rd and 18, you might want to just like let him go. Yeah. And the announcer was like, the play-by-play guy's like, well, yeah, that's a good point. Literally on the next play, Julius Peppers, sack, fumble, strip. Like, just let him go. So
yeah, we kind of get excited because we're like, Colin Simmons can drop to the flat too, and
we did that with Joseph Osai.
Yeah, and it's like that's great.
Seen a linebacker pick up a running back like that on a wheel route? It's like that's really great. Also, Joseph Osai could be rushing the passer.
Yeah, that's the 3rd coolest thing he can do.
Yeah,
Sergio Kendall.
Yeah,
Sergio Kendall.
Yeah,
what is it like? Wolves don't backpedal, or what?
Trains don't go backwards.
Trains don't go backwards.
I think it's his coach, his high school coach, I believe, said that. It's like, no, you don't have a train go back. Like, no, you need him charging forward.
It's like the old Ahmad Brooks of like, it's the 18-wheeler, choo choo.
Yeah,
like, Ahmad, 18-wheelers don't go choo choo. But we all got it.
Yeah, we all understood.
Metaphor. Hey, there's a good question in the chat. I'm interested in both of y'all's opinion. Weston Carls, do you see that question from Weston?
Which playoff team? Yeah, go ahead, Paul.
Would be the worst matchup for Texas?
Georgia.
Way to be creative, Connor.
Yeah,
that was really easy.
I got a little bit of evidence on that one. I think
we do have a little bit of evidence.
Yeah. I don't like Oregon, and maybe it has everything to do with their quarterback. He's just he's, and I think Paul will appreciate this when you talk about Diego Pavia at Vanderbilt. And you think about Gabriel, Dylan Gabriel, Oregon. There's just a certain, when you talk about quarterbacks with experience that have shown they can win, and like, I trust Quinn, but the opposing quarterback is everything in the playoffs. And Carson Beck, we've kind of seen Carson Beck and Carson. I mean, we know what we can do with him and against him and what he brings when he's on and I feel comfortable against Carson Beck. Dylan Gabriel has not lost a beat, honestly, since beating us last year. He's looked sharp. And even starting slow this season, he knows where to go with the football. He knows where to go with the football, and he knows how to make the plays. He knows when to use his feet.
We've seen these
if I had to play
experienced
a team right
quarterbacks.
now, it has everything to do with Oregon and not for any other reason than Dylan Gabriel. And that's just respect to him, because even though everyone says he is not an NFL quarterback candidate and all this other stuff, whatever, the guy should scare everybody. And Ohio State doesn't have a Dylan Gabriel.
He knows our defense too. And we've seen, right, like these 90th year quarterbacks make a difference late in the playoffs nowadays. I frankly haven't watched Oregon. I watched them versus Ohio State, but I haven't watched them enough. But I mean, yeah, I can get it with Gabriel just being mad efficient and hitting what he needs to hit. He said, Ian says Miami. Ian actually did when we were doing our live on Wednesday. He does not want to play Miami because of their passing offense.
Nobody wants to play Miami. You
why
beat
do
them, but you also lose to them too. Nobody wants to play Miami.
That was kind of his point. Like Ian was like, yeah, they can easily lose games, but if you can avoid playing that caliber of offense, then go ahead and avoid it. You know, why would you want to play that offense if you don't have to?
Washington all over.
Honestly, I don't know if player for player they're better in totality than say Penn State, but they represent such a divergent level of play that you don't want to play wild cards in the playoff.
Yeah.
You want to
know what you're getting.
It's always a 7.5.
Yeah.
Miami's anywhere between a 4 and a 10.
Yep.
So you don't want that in the playoffs, right?
You want to know what you're getting.
You want to know what you're getting, and you want to be able to game plan, and you want to be able to be like, okay, we know we can do this. We can make them play left-handed. We can do this. I mean,
if we would have Michigan first round last year, that's a different game.
Yeah, Michigan, especially with their 12 personnel team, we were shutting down 12 personnel teams. And here's the funny thing. I've talked to quarterbacks about this. It's harder to game plan for inconsistent teams because they bust and you don't know what they're going to do sometimes. These really good teams, it's because they're consistent. They have the same schemes. They operate them well. You know what's going to happen. They might out-athlete you. They might have some wrinkles. But at least you know what they're going to do. They're not going to change identity. These teams that can go to, like you said, 10 or 4, you don't know necessarily what you're going to see. So it can be a big difference. Paul, is there anyone that scares you in the top 12? I mean, I don't want to face like where it is now. I definitely don't want to in Alabama. Who do we have to play? Alabama, then Miami was the original shake. Miami's going to move now, but definitely wouldn't want the path of Alabama to Miami.
Yeah, so actually, Ian and I did a good deep dive on this, talking about the committee and their considerations.
Yeah.
Matchups are going to be a much bigger deal than y'all think in terms of telegenic, TV dollars. And they're going to try to avoid Big Ten teams and SEC teams playing conference mates early. They want to set up SEC versus Big Ten versus AC. They want to mix that all up, and then they want to mix up draws. So it's going to be more like the NCAA basketball tournament where they'll take someone who is a deserving 7 seed and make them a 10 in another region because it creates a more compelling matchup. That's just what they will do. So I would be very surprised if we played an Alabama in the first round. Who would I be worried about? Georgia makes sense. We've got some evidence on that. But I think the cool thing about these and the scary thing about these playoffs is I just don't see the juggernaut team. Some on paper seem that way. Ohio State on paper should be that team, but they're not.
There's no juggernaut.
They're just not. Now, maybe they'll catch fire. Maybe it all comes together. But, yeah, and even Oregon, very efficient. And they're sort of good everywhere, which is a sign of a good team. But I don't see dominance from them. So, honestly, I don't think this could be a very chalky playoff. I think you might have a surprise national champion. I think it might be surprising who wins the national title.
I hope it stays like that.
It would be fun.
Yeah, I hope year in, year out. I hope it gets more NFL in that regard. No Patriots dynasty, but I hope it's I hope you can't call it every year like we've been able to do.
You won't be shocked by who wins, but there will be a team that loses a game that you're like, man, we thought they'd be there at the end. So if Texas or Georgia or Ohio State or Oregon wins it, you won't say, oh, I'm shocked. But if Texas, Georgia, or Ohio State or Oregon loses to an Indiana or a Penn State or something, you know, that's what will be the shocker of the surprise of it, you know.
Well, don't be shocked if Boise State is a 4 seed if they keep winning, because
or Colorado.
Oh my God, the committee would love Colorado.
Dude, they would have been. They can't help themselves. Dude, if I'm an exec, I'm not helping myself either, man.
Oh my God, I want Colorado in that playoff, guaranteed. It's the only team in the Big 12 that draws viewers.
Yeah. Dude, if Prime
half
leaves,
of them are hate watch, which is great.
He's like Deion's like Floyd Mayweather. That like half the people would tune into his fight because they wanted him to lose, the other half were rooting for him, and that Prime is like he just sells out the crowd, man.
It is very powerful.
When he leaves, the Big 12 is in trouble. The Big 12
Mike Tyson will always be a draw. That Jake Paul fight is going to sell.
Yeah.
I mean, he's always going to be a draw because he's
about someone who's mostly hate watch is Jake Paul. I think his whole audience is hate watch, and he's selling out. He's selling out.
And he's undefeated.
And he's undefeated. Well, no, he lost to the Fury.
That's the funny thing. So I knew about the Paul brothers not because of YouTube stuff, but people don't know they were good wrestlers, like college wrestlers.
Yeah.
And they can and I watched them box, and I used to box some, and so I have at least a decent eye.
They're tough guys, man.
I was like, oh, these guys can fight.
They're legit, yeah.
These are not YouTube person. Like that guy can fight, and when he sits down on his punches, he can hurt you. Like, holy cow! And I remember everyone was like, "Oh, they're going to get destroyed. This is a joke." And I was like, I saw that guy kind of sparring in a little prep segment, and I was like, I don't know if these guys are a joke at anything. Like. So yeah, and they're on incredible amounts of steroids, which also makes the fight.
That doesn't hurt.
He and Tyson are roided up to the gills, which will make it extra entertaining.
Yeah, they get these like weird they're able to kind of be outside of their true sanctioned sport of boxing because they're putting on these weird exhibitions, you know?
It's like Pride, if you ever used to follow that back in the day.
Like Alistair Overeem just looks like a gorilla, dude. Like insane.
PRT Vitor Belfort, like his traps were so big he couldn't turn his neck. Yeah, that's good stuff.
Sark would say to talk about Arkansas not playoffs. Once again, another example. I guarantee you, Drew is done playing on the field. Me and Paul will not be in that locker room to influence this. Me and Paul are, in fact, allowed to talk playoffs.
Playoffs, baby.
Me and Paul are actually, in fact, we can look ahead. Me and Paul can look ahead right now. We're talking
all
about
allowed to look ahead.
Yes, guys, we are not.
We'll be talking about Arkansas all next week.
I promise you, I'll write a preview of Taylor Green just for you.
Yeah, my video is going to come out. I guarantee you we're going to look at Arkansas. Yeah, I've been watching them the past week, dude. Talk about if you made the funniest lowlights of this season, Taylor Green probably has the funniest lowlights of the season. He does insane dumb stuff. It's hilarious.
When he's on, it really does look like
he's the man, the just total opposites, dude. Like if you did a highlights and a lowlights, it would be the most extreme contrast you could ever see.
Well, I get so mad because they'll be like, any reasonably athletic black quarterback was Vince Young for like 15 years. Yeah. And like, I mean, it's like a dude who runs a 4.9 and he's 6 feet tall. It's Rodney Peete. And they're like, I gotta say it. He reminds me of Vince Young. It's like, no, he doesn't. Not to anyone. Like,
oh no, we knew it.
Taylor Green, I gotta say, at his best, it looks like
it. Vince Young.
It does.
And Wells, I hate to break it, y'all. I am actually Quinn Ewers, and now you guys are making me focus on the wrong thing. We apologize. Maybe that explains some of the issues early on. We are always looking early and looking ahead.
You got to get out of our chat, Quinn. You need to go watch.
Quinn, go win on the road for us next week. Go make up for that loss we took a few years ago.
I think Sark's going to bring it this game. I think schematically, because Arkansas embarrassed us, embarrassed Sark. Remember that play on the sideline where Sark's like, we effing suck, like that when he realized like we are not ready.
We're not good.
And he immediately turned around and was like, hey, we need 350-pound guys everywhere.
Yeah.
That was a wake-up call for Sark, definitely for us. I remember doing the pregame there of like, this Arkansas team's not very good. And they came and almost beat us to death. So luckily it's a day game, right? It's 11 a.m. So we're not getting the full might of the crowd, I don't believe, but it should still be pretty fun.
I've regrettably seen Arkansas maul us a few times.
Yeah.
You know who Jason Peters is, right?
Uh,
Oh, so Jason Peters is like one of the most dominant offensive tackles in the NFL. And he played tight end for Arkansas.
wow.
Like purposely. He wasn't 240 at the time. He was 315, and they lined him up at tight end. And that was when they had Matt Jones at quarterback. And that dude, I am not exaggerating, had 12, 15 pancake blocks against us.
I think it's going to be.
You know what's crazy about that Arkansas game? I specifically remember when we played them, we would get this book with it'd be the depth chart of the opposing team. And so you'd see the picture of every player, their height and their weight. And we'd get it on like Sundays, because Sundays we'd kind of clean the palette, we'd watch our old film, and then we'd flip and just start watching, like just get a good sense of like, hey, this is who we got to see this week. And they would only show us highlights of the opposing team.
Right.
So you're already kind of seeing this, and you're like, okay, the running backs are 6'2", 215. Like you're kind of seeing who you're playing against. But then when the coaches go show you highlights, this is on Sunday, it got your mind right for the Monday practice. Just like, yo, these dudes are for real. So I'll never forget the Arkansas, when you saw Matt Jones, 6'5", 2 whatever. When you saw, who was it? Julio Jones was there at the time. Jason Peters, I think, was there. There was a list of players. You're just like, I don't know what we're gonna do with these guys. Arkansas had those guys.
Yeah.
They had those guys. Like I know there's a lot of fans who don't remember Arkansas having guys. Arkansas had those guys. And we went on to beat them, but Arkansas is trying to get back to that point. We need to get this win, because I don't care what anyone says. I do think Arkansas still, as long as you want to be as great as you want to be, you can be as great as you want to be. And it's going to be,
they're a threat.
They're going to be a rivalry that we pick back up. That's always going to be, I mean, it's the most important game, or one of the most important games of their season is going to be us. And it's going to matter to us as much as it matters to them real soon.
Yeah. Watching that game was eye-opening for me, because, a lot of Arkansas, I was younger whenever the real heat of Arkansas was kind of going on. And so I just remember watching the game and how loud the hum from my TV of the crowd noise the entire game. It's like they care. And I was up in Arkansas near Fayetteville for vacation too, wearing my UT stuff because I don't think about it. I just wear UT shirts a lot. And it was fun to deal with it. They care, and it'll be fun. And like I said, we can't take them lightly. We will not look ahead.
That was my first road game, my true freshman year.
Oof, that'd be cool.
Hey, what fan base cussed you and was the most obnoxious?
Oh man. What's crazy? The first fan base I remember was OU in the Cotton Bowl. Arkansas was definitely there. That was my second game, my true freshman year. We went to Arkansas and played against that Matt Jones team. That was crazy, but it was a blur, right? It was just kind of, we went straight to the locker room. The build up to the Cotton Bowl my freshman year, we lost 12-0, and but going into the Cotton Bowl, I don't know if that's the way it still is, because I don't remember it that way outside of that first year. But fans were hitting on the bus, OU fans, because our bus, remember, our locker rooms are on the same side. Our locker rooms are across the same hallway from each other. If we step outside, our doors mirror each other. Yeah. Which side of the stadium is that? That's OU side of the stadium. So our bus comes in to the OU side of the stadium in order to get to our locker room. We have to walk in through to get to our locker room. They were hitting our bus on the way to the locker room my freshman year. And I was like, okay, I hate them now. It was okay. Like it was very clear that there was some hatred there. So I think that's something that OU players don't get. They get to roll. Their bus goes right into their side of the stadium, right to the locker room. Our players, if they don't have their mind right before an OU game, our bus always goes through a sea of red to get to the locker room. We play in the Cotton Bowl. That happens every year. That's an understated part of the game that I think we don't really talk about enough. But you go through a sea of red to get to the locker room, and that stands out every year to me more than anything is fans hitting on the bus, kids on the shoulders of their parents, middle fingers, horns down. You don't get it anywhere else. And I hate that it's so cliche to be OU. At this point, we're in November. They don't even matter right now.
But it's probably cliche for a reason because it is that big of a deal.
That's what it is.
What is it like here at Weston Carl's? Is A&M? You know, my theory is that Kyle Field's not what it's cracked up to be, but I also have never played at Kyle Field, so I want to hear from
road game ever.
It is.
There's nothing like playing at Kyle Field.
I know Quandre Diggs told me that when he played him, he went to the sideline. He's like, I need an aspirin or an Advil, and they're like, why are you hurt? He's like, no, I got a headache. I can't hear. I can't think straight.
It's funny because I feel like they're loud, but they're not intimidating.
Right. That's kind of where I'm at. I'm like, it's a decibel. It's a concert.
Like, they're there, but you kind of like that they're there.
Yeah.
Like we want you to be here. You're the 12th man. That means you're the 12th man to get beat too. So you get to take this L right along with everybody else. Like, come on. We want you to take this L too. It's really playing on the road is great. Playing on the road is great. Ohio State fans, I don't know if we had any hate prior to that. That place was stupid. And I heard our fans had it worse in the stands too. So, we get to go there next year. Who's coming?
That'll be cool. Y'all ready to roll? Yeah. Y'all ready to roll out?
Ready.
Just watching football all day. My kids are gone. So
I was gonna say, we gotta get off here. We gotta let Drew just lay on the couch in quiet.
He's looking for the pizza that's about to arrive.
Yeah. It's gonna be awesome.
Everybody,
all right, fans. Thank you guys.
Great win for Texas.
Yeah, that was a fun game. Onward to the Razorbacks. I'm excited. Drew, thank you. Paul, thank you. Fans, thank you. Hook 'em. Enjoy your Saturday, y'all.
A lot of fun.